and welcome back to this week's episode of the Broken Kid Podcast. Today we are back and we're doing a new segment called What the Fact, where essentially we go ahead and we kind of pretty much dissect what life is all about, and we take let's just get right into it. Why the heck do we have to beat around the bush? But essentially, we're going to be talking about how in dating in 2026, it's more complicated than building an IKEA piece of furniture, And to give you a little bit of feedback, I'm in my mid-20s, I'm 25, still haven't found anybody to date. No, I've dated, but just, nobody is serious. And, I was talking about this with my therapist and about how, you want to find somebody and all this bullshit and, anyhow, we just kind of, you put your fear aside and you talk to people and you do it long enough that, I'm not saying that rejection becomes normal, but anyhow, this whole notion of trying to find somebody, you kind of get used to it because it doesn't really go your way, and it's just a matter of time before it does, hopefully, I don't know. But anyhow, like for instance, I was talking to this girl at I go to In-N-Out quite often, and there was this girl, and not that necessarily I fancied her, but you just try to talk to everyone everywhere you go, and I'm pretty bad at it, because I open up with like a Bill Cosby joke, and it's probably not good. It's probably not a good idea to do that. But I was talking to her, and she was a new employee, and this was months ago, like probably 5 months ago, and talking to her, and whatnot, and I, she took my order, and it was nice. And she did that for a few weeks, and then I kind of started kind of approaching her, or not approaching her, but as she takes your order, you get to know one another a little, and I would try my humor, and my humor is like that of Ricky Gervais and Deadpool if they had a baby. And in other words, I kept on doing it, and I up until like a few months ago, I kind of still continue to do it here and there. But you can have tender moments, and it doesn't mean that it's gonna lead somewhere, and it doesn't mean you have to interpret it romantically. It was just a tender moment, and that's what I found out, that you gotta stop thinking of every girl you talk to as a potential partner. Sometimes you can just talk to a girl, and it can be nice. Now, you would have asked me that years ago, would have said, fuck no, that's a fucking lie, and that's bullshit. But that's just because you learn that interactions are interactions. But anyhow, I do my comedy, and I do some offensive jokes. I did a joke about how, about how I'm Mexican, and I live next to, about how I'm Mexican, my mom's Mexican, but the neighbors I have are Mexicans. And we were talking about Cinco de Mayo, and about how it's going to get annoying, and how they always play loud music and leave a mess the next morning. And I said, but it's not a racist thing. It's just a thing about how, these people are just, they're inconsiderate. And I said, but it's okay, because I play my music up real loud on my CD plug-in boombox, and it plays so loud. And I said, but it's okay, because the bass, the vibrations from the bass create so much vibration that it makes your orgasm. And that's a joke I made about my neighbor, because she does, and I said it differently in the moment. It was much more smoother. And that's a joke that, it probably wasn't even really a joke, but she kind of nervously laughed. And, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I wasn't. And that's when I kind of realized, first of all, I ruined it with that girl. And she was a really sweet girl. And she probably didn't even like me to begin with, which is fine. And it just kind of made me realize, maybe you come off too strong too soon. Ease people into your jokes. Don't do like what Bill Cosby did when he would go out to nightclubs and just force it in. Do it slowly, let them kind of acclimate and get used to it, so it's not such a shock. I even had a friend tell me, I made a joke about the woman and the dog, and well, it's not really a joke, but it's more of an anecdote, like explanation kind of. And I said, there's 2 reasons why a woman would fuck a dog. The story about the woman who fucks a dog. There's 2 reasons why a woman would fuck a dog. And right here, when you could play the game, the drink every time you hear the phrase "fuck a dog." A woman fucks a dog. And I said the first reason is because she genuinely likes it, and she had, after several days or after a certain period of having this urge and question of what it would be like to fuck a dog, she finally gave into it, and she grabbed her friend, and she was walking down the street, and down her neighborhood and down all these front porches. There's like she sees dogs. She sees these dogs. She sees a Rottweiler, a Shih Tzu, a German Shepherd, and she's like, well, I don't want the German Shepherd quite yet. He's probably gonna, not only is it because I'm Jewish, but he probably is gonna give it to me too rough. I don't want the Pomeranian. I'll probably crush him. I don't want the Chihuahua. He'll probably, won't stop yelling. And, I'll probably just end up taking the Golden Retriever. So, her and her friends, they kidnap this dog or dog nap him. And then they take him home and they set up the cameras and they film her fucking this dog. And, that's how you get the first version. The second hypothetical is, she was coerced into doing it. Somebody was like, hey, you're going to do this. And you're going to record it. And you can kind of tell the difference between the ones who want to do it and the ones who are being forced to do it, which is kind of, you make your opinion on it. And you can tell because their hair is covering their face. Now, you might be, well, of course, if I'm fucking an animal, I wouldn't want my face to be out on there. And it's like, well, this is a sign that it might be, being corrosion, that you're being coerced into it. And he said to me that I still remember the first joke you told me, and that you come out very strong out the gate with the humor, and that you need to be a little bit more careful. So now, now I'm being a little bit more cautious, thinking about what I say, what I don't say, and the improvements have been drastic in just a few months. Now, of course, I fumbled a lot of opportunities, but it's kind of like there's this movie with Ryan Reynolds called The Change Up, and it's with him and Jason Bateman, and they switch bodies. And when they switch bodies, one of the characters ends up telling Ryan Reynolds' character, who really is Jason Bateman's character in his body, in the body of Ryan Reynolds, but the character ends up telling him, to the Ryan Reynolds character says, you really should show your gentle side more often. You do have a good personality. I don't know why you don't show it. And I think we're all afraid to do that. But anyhow, I do it. And also, prior to this, I was at In-N-Out, and there was this ugly dude with a really hot girl. And I don't know what the hell he had. He either must have had a big bank account or a big cock. And anyhow, I'm going to I go to Goodwill often to get a lot of physical media like CDs and DVDs because I like them, and sometimes VHSs. But anyhow, I go there often to my location, the one that I go to, and there was this girl that I don't recognize because she's working in that location now, in that segment of the physical media, the CDs and DVDs, and she's kind of cute. And the first day, I don't say too much. I just kind of ask to see if some of the things on her cart that she's putting onto the shelves. And then anyhow, this happens. And then the second day I see her, and then we talk for 20 minutes. I go back the next day, and then I wait about 3 days. And on that, after 3 days of not going, I see her organically, and I kind of, make my way over there, and we're talking, and we're having a good conversation. And, it's like, we have the same interests, we have the same this, and oh my goodness. And I'm like, is it finally happening? And no, it doesn't, because she calls me dude, and anybody who's a guy and is into women knows that anytime a girl calls you a dude, it's not a good thing. She might as well view you as a bro, as like a brother, or a cousin. And anyhow, then 10 seconds later, she goes on to say, yeah, I saw that movie with my boyfriend, and I think I became red. I was like, but all this to say that, you could have, I could listen to Big Sean, I don't F with you, or that Kid Laroi song that you can't make a wife out of a hoe, but that would be too easy. But rather than doing that, I have this theory that I have this thing for girls who work at In-N-Out, like how women have that thing for men, the tux effect, where if a guy wears a tuxedo, you're that much more attracted to him. Well, anyhow, I think that the In-N-Out thing is like the In-N-Out outfit theory for a woman is real. That it's just very nurturing and domestic, and not only is it classic, but who knows? Maybe next time you see me, I end up having a girlfriend. I don't know, or I go on a date. But needless to say, there's if you feel hopeless about love, you totally should be.